since I know a lot of people here, this is Carla
Yeah.
Arovic, who is
Hi,
a
everybody.
wonderful client of We Make Travel Easy and a fabulous wine and social media writer and expert. And she said, I want to do a fabulous wine themed trip to Portugal. And I said, great, let's do it. And we brought Jesus in, and tonight you're going to learn all about it. So Carla, tell us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm Carla Arovic. I'm so excited you're here. We have a big group. I think there may be some more people joining us. And we are going to have a fun evening exploring Portugal virtually. So let's see. I have been interested in Portugal for several years now. It's been the top of my bucket list. And I was planning to go soon, and then Sandy and I reconnected, and she helped me put together a fabulous itinerary for a trip late May, early June of this year. So I'm pretty excited. So tonight we're going to be sharing some of the really beautiful places in Portugal that if you decide to go there should be on your itinerary. And I'm joined tonight by Sandy with We Make Travel Easy. And she'll be in a few moments, she'll be sharing with us about travel. She's been doing a lot of international travel over the last few months. So she'll be able to speak to the travel climate and conditions of travel. And we have Jesus here, who will be speaking with us and sharing some beautiful pictures of Portugal that I know will get you very excited to travel with us or to travel to Portugal. And then we'll hear from Warren, who will take us through a wine tasting of 3 wines, Portuguese wines. So that's our evening. We have a lot of people and a lot to cover. And so if you could keep yourself muted while this is going on, and then you can unmute to ask questions. We'll have take questions throughout the night. And you can also use the chat feature to type in a question if you'd like to bring our attention to something. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And I'd like to have Sandy tell us a little bit about the travel climate.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I own a travel company called We Make Travel Easy. I've also been on the list of Condé Nast top travel specialists for 2021. And so we love to create amazing, fabulous itineraries for our clients. And we have a great one here for Portugal. I've been traveling all through COVID, following all the safety protocols and doing everything that you're supposed to do. And in November, I was in Spain, France, and the UK. And then in December, and I flew home the day that Omicron was announced, which was November 25th. And then I went back to France on December 4th. So I've been traveling before and after the unveiling, so to say, of Omicron. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's really a pain in the neck. I mean, every country has different protocols. You have to check on it. Some countries, if you're not vaccinated, then really you shouldn't travel and you can't really be traveling. But if you're vaccinated and boosted, you can probably go almost anywhere in the world. There's a couple of extra steps. I mean, you'll have to check. Some countries require testing. So everybody seems to require a statement, which you just say, I don't have a fever and I haven't been exposed to anyone with COVID, before you go. It's pretty easy because the airlines act as the gatekeepers, because they won't let you on the plane unless the country you're going to is going to let you off the plane. So basically, before your trip, the airline that you're flying with is going to send you all the protocols and everything you can do. But you should be working with a good travel advisor, and your travel advisor should be able to give you some heads up about what you're going to need. Some countries require Pcr tests, and that's typically 72 hours before you get on your plane. So you count back from the time of your plane is taking off. Some countries, it's a rapid antigen test, and that you can order online and do at home. So that's really easy. And that's the same test you need to take to go back to the US, which we took our tests with us. And you download an app, and there's a proctor who watches you take your test on your phone, and then you wait the 15 minutes, and then they come back and they look at the test results, and then they send you a report that says it's okay and it's certified, and you show that at the airport and you get on the plane, and it's all very easy. And I can tell you that most countries take COVID a lot more serious than we do in the United States. They check vaccines, people will walk around masks in the streets, in the places. You feel like you feel in the San Francisco Bay Area, where we are very careful with masks and vaccine checking and all that kind of thing. And that's what most countries are like. So you can feel very, very comfortable traveling as long as you follow the safety protocols. And I really recommend traveling with companies that will only allow if you're doing a group or a river cruise, that will only allow other vaccinated people, so that you know that you're traveling in your bubble, and that you won't be going in and mixing in with people that you don't know who they are or where they've been or whatever. So it's really the safest way to travel. And I had clients of mine, a gentleman, 78 years old, so I'm not talking about some 30-year-old person, who had made plans to do a river cruise in France in August. And between the time we booked and between the time they were traveling, initially in June, things were opening up really quickly. But then what happened is that things started to close down a little bit because Delta surfaced. And so you had to be vaccinated and you had to wear a mask. And it was happening in San Francisco too. And he said to me, if I have to wear a mask in San Francisco and I have to wear a mask in France, isn't it more fun to wear a mask in France? And let me tell you from personal experience, it's a lot more fun to wear a mask in France or Portugal or anywhere else. I mean, you feel like you're getting your life back again. For those of us who love to travel, to be able to be out and travel, and big deal wearing a mask. I mean, that's the only thing that's different. So, if you're I've always said, don't travel unless you're comfortable, but I want to let you know you can be comfortable, follow the safety protocols, and the world is out there welcoming you with open arms, and things aren't crowded. It's really a lovely time to travel. I'm leaving on February 16th for Egypt, and I can't wait. And so it's the world's out there and they want you to come. So go visit.
Thanks, Sandy. Could you introduce Jesus, and then he could share all of the beautiful photos that he has of Portugal and places that you need to put on your itinerary.
Okay, well, in the travel business, we usually work with specialists that are experts in every individual country. And I handpick my travel partners in every spot in the world, because I know that these people are going to treat my clients with the same white glove service, paying attention to details, making sure you have the most unique, wonderful, special itinerary. And my go-to person for Spain and Portugal is Jesus Repetto with Titanium Tours. I mean, my clients come back with rave reviews. Everything is always perfect. They're easy to work with. They're on the ground 24/7. If anything happens, they're right there with you. And it's just seamless and fabulous. So I can't think of anyone better that I would put anyone's hands in than Jesus Repetto with Titanium Tours. So Jesus, tell us about Portugal.
Well, thank you, Sandy. That's very kind of you. And thank you, Carla, also for making me a part of this. And thank you for everybody watching today. So my goal tonight is just to help you imagine with this trip that we put together for Carla and Sandy it's like, so I want to be able to just get immersed into it. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Just give me a second. All righty, could you confirm?
Yes, we can see that. It looks great, Jesus.
Excellent. So just a little bit about me. So even though I'm here in the US, but my whole team is local in Spain and Portugal. So we, the people that created, this itinerary and the people that take care of, our clients, Sandy's clients, are people who are local there and they're overseeing everything. So one of the most interesting things, so I grew up in Spain, in southern Spain, and I spent many, summers vacation in Portugal and stuff. So, obviously well familiar firsthand with Portugal. And I was very happy to see that this year Condé Nast Traveler in the Reader's Choice Awards. So this is readers voting for what is their favorite place to go, what is the number one place that they want to go. And Portugal was actually the number one country in this year's Reader's Choice Awards. So that's very timely that we put this itinerary together. So since it's kind of wine themed, I wanted to give you a little bit of a wine map to begin with. So obviously, see, we got Lisbon down here, and we got Porto up here, and we would see in this itinerary, we're going to see some of the Douro Valley, which is right over here. We're going to see the Vigno Verde area over here, some of the Lisbon also wines around the Sintra, and then a little bit of the Alentejo too. And I'm going to describe all this, but right now, so as this trip is planned, you fly into Lisbon on May 30th, and then we will take you. We obviously, my team will welcome you at the airport and transfer you and take you to the train station where you take a high-speed train. It's 3 hours from Lisbon to Porto. That's what the trains look like. And this would be your home for the first 5 nights. It's the NH Collection Porto Batalla, which is a 4-star hotel. It's newly renovated. It's actually an 18th century palace, and it's in the heart of Porto. It was once the home of a prominent wine-producing family in this area. So it's got this feel of the old Porto. It's got a historic facade, very elegant decor. And each of the rooms takes inspiration from some of from the history of the building. With like sophisticated decor, pictures of historic postage stamps, because it served as a post office for a while as well. So it did all contribute to give you this sense of traveling in time. This is what the rooms that we've selected look like. Just a little quick look at the restaurant breakfast area. So the first thing that we're going to do on this trip after you arrive and you get to your train, you get to Porto, gonna have a welcome dinner to get to know everybody that you're traveling with, all your travel companions, and just get to know each other and talk about a little bit what you're going to see during the trip, and obviously enjoy your first wonderful taste of Portuguese food. Then the next day, we're going to do a Porto walking tour, and I'm going to show you some of the images of the places that we would stop. So to me, Porto is bridges and monuments, it's tiles decorating the homes. The Portuguese love to hand paint all these, tiles and put it on the outside of buildings, and I'll show you some pictures of that. But Porto is very colorful. It's flowering balconies, shopping streets. In the historic center of Porto, in the River Douro, on the Gaia side, where all the port wine lodges are located, they're actually classified as World Heritage by UNESCO. So I was talking about tiles, and here's a great example of a facade of a building. You can see the very intricate designs. A lot of the times they're sort of flower motifs, and in this case, is quite the depiction of a historical moment. One of the places where we stop is, you see back here. Where's my cursor? This is the Clericos Tower, which is a Baroque masterpiece dating from the mid 18th century. It's actually constructed in granite, and it's protruding out of the top of the western side of this church, and it's one of the most distinctive landmarks of Porto. Um, it extends upwards 250 feet, and it's crowned on the top with this clock, and it's all, Baroque decoration. Another place that, we're going to take you, this is actually the train station where you arrive, is the São Bento train station. This is a French Beaux Arts structure that has 20,000 magnificent azulejo. This is the tint glazed ceramic tiles that with scenes from Portugal's past, its royalty, the wars, the transportation history as well. This train station was built in 1900, and it was named after São Bento, the Benedictine monastery that once occupied this space in the 16th century, and then it, got turned into this train station. And it's one of the most beautiful train stations you'll find, in the world. Then we're going to take a, walk through the old town of Porto, which is the city's heart, which is this medieval old part of the city, Porto Ribeira. This historic district begins along the banks of the river and spreads into the hills. Porto is very hilly, and it's one of the oldest neighborhoods. And walking its street is like taking a step back in time. It's fantastic, flanked by an arch walk containing shops and restaurants that are built into the city wall. The heart of the city is a warren of narrow, crooked alleyways, worn smooth by countless of generations. Then we're going to also visit, obviously, on the other side of the river. We're going to see the wine lodges of Villanova the Gaia, which is, like I said, across the river, and it's a once in a lifetime must do for wine lovers. It's perfect for this wine themed trip. It's the Villanova is the mecca for port wine fans, and most of the famous port houses have lodged here. So you're going to visit Companhia Bella, which was founded in 1756. So translated, that means the old company or business. So it was founded in 1756 by royal charter of King Don Jose I, and it's also known as the Royal Oporto Wine Company, and it's the oldest and most emblematic wine company in Portugal. Their quintas, which is what Portuguese call the vineyards, are actually in the Dora Valley. But here in Porto is where they have the cellars, where they age the wine and so forth, and you'll enjoy a premium visit with wine tasting. The next day, we're going to do a fun thing, which is a Porto cooking class. So, Portuguese cuisine is becoming more and more popular, throughout the world. And I know you guys, or some of you, have gone with Sandy to this Portuguese restaurant in San Francisco. And but every year the number of Michelin star restaurants increases in Portugal, placing Portugal in the map for high international cuisine. So this Porto Gourmet class, it's a hands-on class which includes an appetizer, soup, main dish, and dessert. And of course, accompanied by some great Portuguese wines, and you'll learn the new techniques and innovative presenting forms, and then you can come home and surprise your family and friends that you can put together a Michelin star quality dish.
And I'm coming over.
So on June 2nd, we're going to go explore perhaps a type of wine that you're less familiar with, that is definitely a must try. So this is also kind of a way to see the real country, away from the tourists, away from the places that are overcrowded, and this is the places that are yet to be discovered. So this area is dedicated to Vigno Verde, and we're going to go deep in the region. So Vigno Verde is a light-bodied white wine They have a like spritz and fruity lemonade-like flavors with notes of melon, gooseberry, and a chalky texture. So it's best served young when the wine is at its peak for the aromatics and the crisp acidity. And here in Minho is the ideal um, place to discover and experience, how they, harvest and grow and develop this wine. So we're actually going to stop in Quinta de Santiago, where you're going to meet the family. We always love taking people to wineries that are family owned and that have a history that you can get to meet the family and get to understand, their passion and sort of, get more immersed in the culture. So you'll visit their estate and have lunch with the family. And of course, it'll have a, wine tasting during lunch. After Quinta de Santiago, we're going to go see Ponte Lima, um, which is and walk around this very magnificent small village. It's one of the finest small towns in northern Portugal, and it's got a wonderful mix of stunning scenery, quaint sights, beautiful garden, and it's actually the oldest villa in Portugal. On the next day, on the 3rd, we're going to go over to the Douro. So port wine is produced about 75 miles away from Porto. And this is actually, you might not know this, but it's the oldest demarcated wine region in the world, known as the Dora Valley. It's really a hidden place surrounded and protected by mountains that not only preserves nature and the authenticity of the people and the culture in the area, but it also creates a microclimate that it's necessary to grow the best port wine grapes varieties. So we'll have a short stop at the entrance to the Dora Valley, and then we'll do a little bit, sightseeing along the river towards the town of Pinhal, and then we're gonna stop at Quinta da Manuela. Here in you'll have lunch at the vineyards of the Quinta da Manuela, which is their wine that they produce. It's called Wine and Soul. And one of the interesting things that I want you to see is how in this picture, because it's all hills, all sloping down to the Douro River, they have these terraces that they build, and that's where the vines grow, and it's quite different than any other, kind of vineyards you might be familiar with, like, in Sonoma or Napa. This is just the beauty of the scenery is it's breathtaking. So we'll have lunch here at Quinta da Manuela at the state, which is a traditional picnic lunch that will be served at a special terrace facing the vineyards. Then you'll be able to go stroll through some of the vineyards and also, of course, do some wine tasting. So Quinta da Manuela is located in the Valley do Pinhal, in a historic property that has belonged to the family for 5 generations. Again, this is what I love about, a place where you have so much history that you can actually, get immersed in and learn from the people that have, learned this from their parents, who learned it from their parents, and so on and so forth. So it's a small area. They have about 60 hectares of land. So that is about 100 and something acres. I forget the conversion right now, but it's small, but it's surrounded by a beautiful Mediterranean forest that creates this unique microclimate that I was talking about. Wine and Soul, the brand, was founded by Jorge Serovio and Sandra Tavares in 1999, and it's just a product of their passion and commitment to wine, and talking to them is just wonderful to see that passion coming through them. So on the 4th, so that was our first 5 days. So on the 4th, we're going to go take the high-speed train again down to Lisbon, and this will be your home. It's another 4-star hotel, Avenida Liberdade. and you'll be home in Lisbon for 5 nights. The Avani Avenida Liberdade is located in the center of the city of Lisbon. It's a contemporary, um, building and decor, but it's located in the biggest shopping street in Lisbon. You'll be able to take a stroll on your free time and go shopping and enjoy the bustling sort of modern part of Lisbon. On the next day, we're going to do an overview tour of Lisbon. So you're going to meet with the local guide at the hotel, and then you're going to visit first Ponte do Sol viewpoint, and then you're going to visit some of the most important neighborhoods in Lisbon, like Chiado, Baixa, Rocio, Alfama. This picture is of Alfama, which is in the top of the hill and right in the center of Lisbon. And they're very charming neighborhoods. Alfama is the oldest, with small streets and houses that once were inhabited by the sailors and the fishermen. You're gonna see real Portugal in this neighborhood, with the kids playing soccer in the streets, and you know old ladies hanging their clothes and drying in the balcony, and like the authenticness of Lisbon and Portugal. Get to see Sao Jorge Castle as well, which is a Moorish castle occupying a commanding hilltop that overlooks the center of Lisbon and also the Tagus River. Um, then we're going to, in the Baisha District, you're going to find a little bit of everything. So we tile cover houses here in Lisbon as well. You're going to see lots of buildings with, covered in tiles, wrought iron balconies, wide streets. And this thing that you see here is a charming elevator. It's the Santa Justa elevator, which is an elaborate Gothic wrought iron elevator that reaches 7 stories, 148 feet, and it's a lookout for visitors to, enjoy stunning views of Lisbon and all its neighborhoods. And then in Chiado, which is the fashion quarter with like alts of old shops, fine products, charming cafes where you can, relax after the tour, go for a drink, and just relax and enjoy Lisbon, having seen the real parts of it, the real authentic parts of Lisbon. The next day, we're gonna go to my favorite place in Portugal, which is Sintra. And Sintra is a hidden town in the hills of Sierra do Sintra, and it's surrounded by pine-covered hills. It's like a fairy tale town. You're going to see lots of whimsical palaces, extravagant buildings, a castle. So this in the picture here is the National Palace of Pena, which you will visit, which is some of the best 19th century expression of romanticism. And it's got a mixture of many different architectural styles, and it's so very colorful and whimsical. It's like, it really is like a fairy tale castle. After seeing the Palace of Pena, you're gonna have a picnic in the gardens, and then the gardens are in the state of Quinta da Regalada, which is also protected UNESCO World Heritage space. And here you're gonna see one of my other favorite, parts of history and mystery, and why makes Sintra is so sort of magical. So here in this picture, you see it's a well. It's called the Initiation Well, and it's actually believed that it was an initiation ritual for the Knights Templar. Um, Portugal has a lot of history with the Knights Templar, and there's several castles, but this is the most interesting thing. So there's no water in this well, and it's just a spiraling staircase that goes down, in which they did whatever initiation ritual back then in the 12th century the knights had to do. On the 5th, we're going to stop, continue. We're going to go to the town of Colares, and where we're going to visit a small winery where you actually get to have a workshop for, to try to be an enologist for a day. So you'll participate in a blending activity to create your own wine, and then you can take the wine that you made back home or to your hotel, and also during the visit you'll have some tapas and some wine tasting. And on the way to Lisbon, we're going to make a couple quick stops, and this is a very interesting one, which is the Cabo De Roca, which is the westernmost point of continental Europe. On June 6th, the next day, we're going to go to the more unknown, regions, the less visited regions, around Lisbon and in Portugal. So this is the Torres Vedras and Obidos. This region is, like I said, more less familiar with most people, less touristy, but we can find still a lot of very interesting wines. It's a strong agricultural region, and it has tons of vineyards. We're going to stop at a Degamai Winery. Again, another small winery owned by a family where you'll be able to have brunch and some wine tastings, of course. And next, we're going to see Obidos. The town of Obidos is a medieval town. It was actually, the whole town was actually a gift from King Denis of Portugal in the 13th century to his bride on their wedding day. And in Obidos, you're going to discover cobblestone streets, whitewash walls with bright trim, like you can see here with the blue and the yellow trim homes. They also have a medieval castle, and it's home to the famous ginger liqueur. Alrighty, so then on the next day, we're going to spend our time back in Lisbon exploring the Belém district, which is the area from where all the Portuguese navigators left, looking for the New World. We'll see, as you can see back there, Belém Tower, which is also a World Heritage Site. So this is the site where all the shipyards were, and where all the voyage in the 15th century departed from. The Portuguese have a big seafaring history and tradition, having discovered new routes to India, East Africa, and Brazil. And the district of Belém has many extravagant buildings that was funded by all the wealth that moved through this port. One of the interesting places, for example, in this district is the Geronimus Monastery, the construction of which began on January 1501, and it was completed 100 years later. King Manuel originally funded the project with money that he obtained from this thing called the Vintena de Pimenta, which is a 5% tax on all commerce from Africa and the Orient, which was equivalent to 150 pounds of gold per year. So when the King Manuel and the builders of this monastery and other builders in the Belém district, set out to build those magnificent buildings, they had so much money, they spared no expense, and they built real beautiful big scale buildings. Then you're going to go have a taste of the pastéis de Belém. I hope you like sugar. This is a very sweet dessert. And because it's, just if it wasn't sweet enough, you'll have a cup of Porto wine. And so the pastéis de natas is the iconic and famous Portuguese dessert. Lots of, pastry shops around, the whole country, have him feature it, but it's rumored to have originated here in Belém, in this district. And it's made of flour, butter, eggs, cinnamon, and of course lots of sugar. So lots of butter is layered in the dough, which makes the shells crispy and crackling. Then on June 8th, we're going to visit the Alentejo, which is the heartland of Portugal and the sort of the rural part of Portugal. And here, they're one of the main things that gets produced and grown is cork trees. So you might not know this, but more than 50% of the cork consumed in the entire world comes from here in the Alentejo. So you'll be able to, drive through the cork groves and see, this beautiful landscape, very rural. And you're going to stop in Evora, which is a small village, but it has a very compact historical center, also a World Heritage Site. But it has, ancient Roman ruins like this temple here, which is one of the best preserved in the whole Iberian Peninsula from the 1st century AD. It's a temple of Diana. And then there's a chapel that is made entirely of bones and very narrow, cobble streets. So it's quite the sight, quite the stop. And we will stop at also Quinta da Videira, which is another family-owned winery where we're going to have, another picnic-style lunch done by the winery, and you can taste all the wine they produce here, which is more than 10 different wines that they produce here in Quinta da Videira. And unfortunately, all good things come to an end. So, but we'll celebrate with a farewell dinner, reminiscent of, everything you've seen and enjoyed, and, of course, enjoy some great Portuguese food and wine, and look at your pictures and think of all the great memories and new friendships that, you've made. And that is all the pictures that I've got for us today. I'd be more than happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna ask that we hold the questions because I just found out that Warren has a commitment and has to leave at 7. So let's go straight to the wine tasting and then hold your questions for Portugal. And when we're done, we'll come back and Jesus you can stay a little bit, right, Jesus? And answer all your questions about the trip and everything else. And we actually have a nice little promo for people who sign up before February 28th. So stay by. So Warren, what are we drinking?
Well, thank you, Sandy. And hello, everyone. It's nice to see a whole bunch of familiar faces. And we have a few really interesting wines tonight, all from Quinta Dolorosa, a wonderful winery started in the late 1800s, actually purchased by a German family. Changed hands over the years, but it was inherited by the granddaughter of the founder, and they now run the winery, the Bergquvist family in England. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. If you ever find yourselves in the Duoro, let me know, because they'll take great care of you over there. So we're actually going to start off with something a little different. In fact, Jesus, I saw in your presentation that final photograph had a whole bunch of people cheering each other with a glass, which looked like a Porto Tonica.
Yeah.
So hopefully all of you have your white port in hand, and this is made from a number of different regional grape varietals. That's typical for white port and white wine. Viocino, Gouveia, Rabigata, Malvasia, Fina. The interesting thing about the grapes in the Duoro is it's so mixed up that quite often rows of grapes of different varietals get mixed in. So they're still trying to decipher what it is. And as you saw from some of the photos, they're very, very, very steep. So the way they make the white port is they draw up about 90% of the grapes for the white wine, which an example of which we'll be tasting shortly. And then it continues the fermentation process. It's fortified with brandy, which stops the fermentation process. They blend usually 2 to 3 years of different ports into the bottling for consistency. It's all bottled and stored at the winery, which is unusual, but that way they get to maintain quality and consistency in terms of storage and production. and everything. And the beauty of this, and we're going to make what gin and tonic, Aperol spritz. Different regions have different sort of spring, summer cocktails, and the Porto Tonica is one that is ubiquitous across Portugal. So I like to have it in a little sort of double old-fashioned glass, a small one. You can use a tall glass. You can use whatever you like. My father taught me always pour the alcohol into the glass before you put the ice in the glass, because the problem is, I'm trying to get my ice out here. If you put the ice in first, you don't know how much alcohol is going in there, and you might get too much. And I said, well, what's wrong with too much? So he's clearly a little more modest than I am. So then a little bit of ice. Hopefully you guys got the message to get all the Porto Tonica ingredients. And then simply about 2-to-1 ratio. So I've got about 2 ounces of port in this glass. I add about 4 ounces of tonic. Actually, I think I did a little bit more than that in terms of the port, which I like. A slice of orange. You can put a sprig of mint, some rosemary, and voila. Jesus, what's voila in Portuguese? I don't know. Anyway, voila in Portuguese. Here's your Porto Tonica. L'chaim, cheers, prosit, slante, whatever your predilection is.
Salute. So Warren, there's a question in the chat. Once you open your white port, how long can you keep it and how do you keep it?
Well, my white port's not going to last through 6:45 p.m. here.
I know, but you
there
had
are
a
5
family
of us.
dinner. And you didn't invite us.
I'm kidding, Sandy. I'm kidding. I would just put the cork in, put it in the fridge. Should be good for a week or so. And that's true also of red port. I mean, it's not like it's going to go bad and put you in the local hospital, but it will sort of lose its flavor after a while. But the beauty of white port is it's like a spritz. It has higher alcohol content, obviously, than still wine, about 19.5% alcohol, because fortified with brandy. But that's still about half to maybe a little bit less than the volume of alcohol you'll find in a gin, for example. I mean, for a gin and tonic or Aperol spritz, it's got the Aperol, it's got the white wine. So it's less alcohol than a Manhattan or a Rob Roy or whatever the case may be. So anyway, so that's Porto Tonica. The beauty is it comes in a 500 milliliter bottle, about 16 ounces. So it's good for 5 to 8 drinks, depending on the size of your glass and what you want to do. So. And this is I'm particularly fond of this version. It's a great summer drink. Unfortunately, I happen to be in La Quinta in the desert, where it feels like summer compared with how it's felt in San Francisco of late.
Warren, does that need to be does it have to be refrigerated, the white port?
No, but
Okay.
it's just Sandy had asked about preservation. As a general rule, for if you're going to drink wine over a few days or whatever the case may be, you put a cork in it, put it back in the fridge, and obviously if it's red wine, you want to bring it out to room temperature a few hours before you drink it. But that seems to be the most consistent way that we've heard. I mean, Sandy, you'll remember Jesse Becker, the master som.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was his guidance in terms of storing wine.
Thank
So
you.
that's what I would recommend. But if you can't get through a bottle of wine in an evening, you're either not drinking enough or you don't have enough friends over. So
You're a lightweight.
Very true.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that's the white port. I'm seeing some thumbs up. I'm seeing some chats in the chat window, and in terms of
Teresa loves
people
it.
really
Delicious.
really liking. Yeah. And I know Jesus is sitting over there, and I know it's the middle of the night. I think, are you in Portugal, Jesus? I don't know where you are, but he didn't get any wine.
I'm in New
Jersey. Well, I'm sorry, it's a little cold and a little late, but I think you'll find this is a lovely aperitif. We're doing hot pot for dinner, so I think this should go nicely as we introduce into that. So anyway, and so the still wines, also, I think lovely examples. And again, all three wines here are very accessible and modest in terms of cost. Nothing here is going to break the bank. We're not drinking Grand Cru Burgundy. So no reason to hold back. I mean, the port's around $30 and the white wines are around $25, $25 a bottle, the white and the red. So I think very pleasant wines and terrific wines for the value. Terrific value for the wines, which is true of most wines, if not all wines, in Portugal, relatively speaking. Portugal and Spain, the whole Iberian Peninsula represents some of the greatest values in wine in the world. And I know several of you have had some of these Portuguese wines. You've also you've been on previous calls with me and Sandy. You've had the more elevated La Rosa red wine, which is about a $50, $60 bottle of wine that drinks like $150 Napa Cab. So Portugal represents some terrific values. Now the white wine, same grapes that go into the white port. Remember, so about 90% of the juice runs for the Quinta Dolorosa white wines, and about 10% goes into the port. So those same grape varietals, beautiful, fragrant floral wines. I think there was a question in the chat earlier about Vigno Verde, which is north. It's almost in Spain. A lot of Vigno Verde comes from, but they grow Vigno Verde all over Portugal now, and but it tends to be a little more linear, a little less floral, more minerally than I think this particular estate white, which is exclusively from the Duoro. These grape varietals, the steep slopes, the composition of the soil, the terroir, and the climat, the temperate zone, and all that kind of stuff makes lovely wines. And then, of course, the toe jam, because a lot of these wines are foot trodden. And, the dirtier the feet, the more flavorful the wine. So if you want to go to Portugal, you can take off your shoes, go to a winery, and you can trod on the grapes to help them make wine. And so I'm kidding about the feet washing. The feet are clean. So anyway, so this white wine, beautifully fragrant, probably more so generally than Vigno Verde. Great floral notes, almost like a liquid honeysuckle, beautiful golden hue. And just a very lovely white wine that is very food friendly. This wine goes with poultry, chicken, duck, works with seafood and pretty much anything except a hearty beef stew. Probably wouldn't be the best thing, but I think a wine that goes great with multiple food groups, but also just lovely to drink. So we'll drink the white wine with the first series of our hot pot dishes tonight. So I think there's some shrimp I see over there. There's some bok choy. So I think the white wine will be good to that. And then when we start on the on the meats, I don't know, what meat do we have there tonight, honey? What meat are we having with our hot pot? Steak. So beef, I think there's beef and pork and lamb and everything in hot pot should be really terrific with this wine. Again,
Warren,
beautiful
there was a
deep
comment
garnet.
that the white reminds someone of a Chardonnay. Is it similar in that?
Yeah, I would say perhaps more of a Burgundian style of Chardonnay, because there's just a very slight hint of oak in this. It's not overwhelming. It's not like a Napa Rombauer Chardonnay with full malolactic fermentation and heavy oak and those vanilla overtones. I think the wine still has great floral notes, great character. But yeah, I think the wine could be more of an old world style Chardonnay, sure, like from the north of Italy potentially, or from certain parts of the Côte d'Or in Burgundy. Yeah, I could see why people would do that. And given what many wineries, particularly the California ones, want for Chardonnay these days, drink this stuff.
Yeah, and Carla's saying it's similar to an Oregon Chardonnay as well, more acidic.
Yes, I would say so. Again, it's a much more balanced wine. It's not overly extracted. It's not heavy in the oak. So I'd say, yeah, it's from the old world, and it's definitely an old world style style of wine, and probably with Oregon. In fact, people don't realize. I mean, Oregon, the Oregon wine region is approximately on the same latitude as Champagne. That's how far north it is. So, and this, of course, is much further south in the Mediterranean. But so it is interesting that you get those flavor profiles. But the red wine is the typical trio of grapes that are found. There's Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franco, and Tinta Roriz. Those of you who have better eyesight than I can look on the back of the label. Or in fact, I guess what I could do is I could show my age and put on my reading glasses. And it's 35% Touriga Nacional, 35 Touriga Franco, and 30% Tinta Roriz. As I see Jesus nodding there. Those are the typical predominant grape varietals. But there are dozens, if not hundreds, more of other grape varietals that are mixed into the blends across Portugal. But those are the ones that are traditionally used in the red wine. And the beauty of this wine is a particular discovery of mine. I was able to get it direct from the importer. Sandy, you'll remember Chelsea before she left to go and get with her fiance to go to live in Zurich or someplace
the nerve
in Switzerland. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's nice to get a wine that has some age on it. Even though it's accessible very young, this Duorosa, this is a 2013 or 14, I believe. And I think that extra few years of age has given it those tertiary characteristics of, tobacco, leather, but it's still got beautiful, sweet, deep red, black fruit, which I really love. Dried cherries and prune and stuff like that. I think just, again, a lovely wine, and a wine lovely to drink by itself. But also a wine that I think goes very, very well with food. But again, this wine, when cut through some really nice savory dishes, be it lamb stew or sabuco, or in Portugal, those beautiful deep, hearty foods that they serve along the river there and up and down the coast. So I think for me, Portugal becomes it's sort of like my Tuesday night wine. It's like, what do we want to quickly grab and drink? And these wines certainly fit that bill.
Great. Does anyone have, if you want to unmic yourself, and if you've got a question for Warren, please feel free.
I wanted to ask, Warren, do you have any more of these wines available for the people that maybe didn't get a chance to order them before our time together?
I do, Carla. There's plenty of the estate white and plenty of the white port. This particular vintage of Duorosa, I wouldn't say there's a ton left. I've got a couple of cases maybe. But yes, if people wanted to pick up this trio of wines, by all means, they can go to the link and just pick it up, and I'll have it shipped out to them. Or you can email or call me, and we can make a plan.
Excellent.
Once you're going to the trouble of doing that, you may as well reach out to me, tell me what else you like, and add 9 bottles and make it a full case of 12, and then you'll be set for the first quarter.
There you go. We'll share Warren's contact information a little bit later with everyone.
Yeah, Warren has a fabulous wine purveying business and gets amazing, unique, special opportunities at very well priced. So I would definitely recommend checking out his website and ordering wine from Warren.
Yeah, I see the Belling lovers putting their thumbs up signs over there. Matt Cohen just got a whole bunch of really nice Burgundy and stuff. And if you're really interested, I'm highly motivated to sell my Guigal, La Landon, La Turque, and La Moulin. They're only about 500 or 600 a bottle. But if you're really interested, I was able to pick up a herd of unicorns lately, where I've got 18 bottles of Le Pan from Pomerol on the right bank of Bordeaux. They're only for the 2005, they're 6,000 a bottle, and for the 1998, they're 8,000 a bottle. So if you want to pick up all 18 bottles and you've got $145,000 lying around, call me.
No problem.
All right, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And that's why I drink this.
Have a lovely
Thank you.
dinner.
Take care, everyone. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Right. Cheers. So, Jesus. Okay, we're back here. So, any questions about Portugal? Any questions about the itinerary? anything that you'd like to ask Jesus, now's the time. Let's see, Tom Sierra. You want to unmute yourself and tell us, Tom?
Hi, yes. Actually, last year I actually went to Porto just for port, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in, and the wine was absolutely fantastic. If you love wine, you have to go.
All right, so we all can come in,
Thanks,
and you'll get to experience that with Carla on the trip. It would be just really fabulous. Any other
Thank you.
any other comments, questions? Anybody? Okay, so if you sign up for Carla's trip by February 28th, we will give you $100 per person off the cost of the tour. So that's a nice little incentive. It's be a great time to travel. The weather will be beautiful. It's going to be wonderful. You're going to see, you know, all these and taste all these fabulous wineries and see all these wonderful spots in Portugal. So it's going to be an amazing, and think about how outdoors a trip this is, what a good thing for COVID, which I think is going to be way behind us in a lot of ways by the time it will be June. So this is a great opportunity. And if you haven't traveled internationally, what a great first getting out there in the world trip. Any other last comments, questions?
And I'd like to share contact information in case
Oh,
you have
absolutely,
any
that would
further
be great.
questions. So let me just share this with you. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. You can ask me anything about the trip. My email address is here. Sandy's happy to answer questions specifically about the itinerary, the trip. And if you would like to purchase wine or ask Warren about any wine related things, his email and phone number is here. So I invite you to take a photo with your phone so you have this information so that you can follow up with any of us that you may have some questions for.
And I think, Carla, you'll probably send an email afterwards with all this contact information for everyone as well.
I will.
And if you're interested, you can also go to my website, which is wemaketraveleasy.com. And we have a tab that says trips or tours. I don't remember exactly what it says. And Carla's trip is there. So you could go through it day by day and read what's there and go ahead and sign up. It would be great. We'd love to have you join us.
And you can also get to Sandy's site from my website, carlaarovic.com/travel. And once you get there, it talks about the trip and there's an opportunity to click the link, and that'll take you directly to Sandy's site with more information about the itinerary. Okay. Any last questions?
Thanks so much. It was fun.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming. We loved
Absolutely.
it.
We
Jesus,
appreciate
thank you
your
so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
It was
Thanks,
great.
everyone.
Of course.
All right. It's great to see you. Take care. Stay healthy, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.